I thought it'd be kind of fun to go through the political compass test. I think it's not a great test. I think it does have some bias to it, and some of the questions are just weird. But what the heck? Let's just see where we stand. The political compass basically has a left-right for liberal conservative, and then it has an up-down for authoritarian versus libertarian. So let's go ahead and take the test. Okay, this isn't a survey. These aren't questions. They're propositions. The question, the logic for individual ones irritate you is to miss the point. Some propositions are extreme and some are moderate. That's how we can show you whether you lean toward extremism or moderation in the compass. Okay. Responses should not be overthought. Some of them are intentionally vague. The purpose is to trigger reactions of the mind, measuring feelings and prejudices rather than detailed opinions. Okay, whatever. If economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve the humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. Again, this is very broad, but I'm gonna. It says don't overthink it. Economic globalization should serve humanity. I'll say yes, but I don't know if I strongly agree. I'd always support my country whether it was right or wrong. Now, supporting doesn't always mean agreeing with everything, so I'm going to say agree with that. No one chooses his country or birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. That's ridiculous. It's foolish to be proud of it. Even North Koreans are proud of being North Koreans. I mean, even if it's by strong arming, but still, I guess technically. I don't know. Our race has many superior qualities compared with other races. I mean, are they talking about the human race or like skin color race? Has many superior qualities. I'm gonna say disagree. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. I would tend to agree with that. Military action that justifies international law is sometimes justified. What is international? There is no such thing as international law. And it's pretty open, saying sometimes justified, so I'm going to say agree. There is now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. Well, it's only worrying if people aren't smart enough to tell the difference, and I believe they are. So I'm going to say disagree. People are ultimately divided more by class than by nationality. Well, that's a tough one. I think it's about the same. I'm going to say, my gut feeling says agree. No, actually disagree. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. No, I don't necessarily think that's the case. I mean, inflation, if prices are going up but there's enough goods and services to match, and unemployment, so if you have full employment, we can handle more inflation than we can with low unemployment. But whereas if I say inflation is more important, then, well, if unemployment is out of control, you're going to have deflation anyway, so... Because companies cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation. I would actually say agree, although I think that regulation should be limited. But yeah, I mean, there should be some regulations in place. I just think they're overdone at times. Okay, from each according to his ability to each according to his need. That's straight out of Marx. Strongly disagree. The freer the market, the freer the people. Absolutely. It's a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now a bottled, branded consumer product. Now, for the life of me, I don't understand why anyone would buy water in a bottle, but, I mean, sad reflection on our society? I mean, look, as long as there's people willing to buy it, I don't think it's a sad reflection. I'm going to say, I'm going to say strongly disagree, actually. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold. What Marxists put this together? Strongly disagree. It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society. Regrettable? I'm not going to make a moral decision on how people make fortunes as long as it's legal. So I'm going to say disagree. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. Sometimes. I'm a free marketer. Just because of the word sometimes, I'll say agree. Even though generally I'm not for it. I'm not for tariffs or anything like that. The only social responsibility of a company should be deliver a profit to its shareholders. Well, that's kind of... Delivering profit is not a social responsibility, so this question's really messed up. I wouldn't say the only responsibility profit to its shareholders, because it has to produce good products, it has to, make consumers happy. So the whole thing about social responsibility is kind of bull, but I'm going to say disagree on that. The rich are too highly taxed. Strongly agree. Those with ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care. Yeah. That doesn't mean the poor shouldn't have access, but medical care is a commodity just like anyone else. I mean, everyone should be able to have a basic level of care. This whole single payer stuff is garbage. That doesn't mean that we can have health care for everyone, and we can do it through the free market. But if you have more money, yeah, you should be able to purchase a high. The question is asking, if you do have more money, should you be able to purchase a higher level? Why not? Absolutely. In fact, I'm going to say strongly agree. Government should penalize businesses that mislead the public. I'll say agree. If they're being deceptive, I believe the free market does solve all. But if there's deception going on, yeah, I think the government does need to get involved there. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies. There's so much in this question. Requires restrictions on the ability to create monopolies. Well, I think, this question again is, I know, I shouldn't be overthinking these. A genuine free market would not produce monopolies. So again, this is one of those questions that contradicts itself. I would say monopolies are generally a bad thing. I'll say it's a little against my better judgment, but I'll say agree. Personal social values. Abortion, when a woman's life is not threatened, should always be illegal. No, I would say disagree. Kind of a centrist on it, but I would say it's always be illegal. All authority should be questioned. Yeah, doesn't necessarily mean disobedience, but I mean you should never take anything. You should never take anything from anyone just at face value without questioning. In fact, I'm going to say strongly agree. Eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. I don't know about that. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. Agree. You're always going to find people who, if theater is that important, you're always going to find some gullible rich people who just have to have their theater tickets, and it shouldn't be responsibility of the taxpayers. Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. Now, this is another one of those. I'm going to say should not make them compulsory. I'm going to say agree because I'm taking into account things like homeschooling and things like that. So I'm assuming they mean classroom attendance for everyone. So I'm going to say agree. There's many ways to educate other than brick and mortar classrooms. All people have their rights, but it's better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep to their own kind. This is kind of a track question. Better for all of us? I'll say strongly disagree. I don't know. Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. Well, this is very subjective, but again, I'm going to say strongly disagree. It's natural for children to keep some secrets from the parent. Of course. What kind of question is that? I mean, Children keep secrets from parents. I don't understand why that's even a question. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offense. Strongly agree. The prime function of schooling should be to equip the future generation to find jobs. Absolutely. I reject this whole thing. Well, I'm going to find myself. That's the role of schools. Absolutely. There's really no other. It says prime doesn't mean there's no other function of it, but that's why you're there. So, yeah. People with serious inheritable diseases should not be allowed to reproduce. Strongly disagree. It should not be allowed. Yeah, strongly disagree. Most important thing for children to learn is accept discipline. Yeah, I'll say so. There are no savage and civilized peoples, there are only different cultures. There are savage and civilized people. No, are you saying all cultures are equally good? No. Most of them are. But I mean, you take, for example, radical Islam. They're savage and uncivilized. So yeah, and among some others. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society support. Strongly agree. When you are troubled, it's better not to think about it, but to think busy with more cheerful things. Yeah, I suppose so. As long as you don't do it too much. That's why I don't say strongly. First generation immigrants can never be fully integrated within their new country. No, I disagree with that. I guess it depends on whether. I don't think disagree. I guess it depends on where they're coming from. Again, this is a very overbroad question. What's good for the most successful corporations is always ultimately good for all of us. Again, it's that word always. It's a very broad question, so I'm going to say disagree. No broadcasting institution, however independent, should receive public funding. Agree. Should have said strongly. Our civil liberties are excessively being curbed in the name of counterterrorism. Agree. Significant advantage of a one-party state. There is no advantage of a one-party state. Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be worried. Yeah, I might have said agree with this for a while back, but we've seen the justice system abused far too many times. So I'm going to say disagree. Death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes. I'm not generally in favor of death penalty, but should it be on the table? Yeah, I think so. It's reasonable. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. I'm not quite sure about that. Again, it's the word always. Gotta use that as a qualifier. Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all. Well, I don't know. Who am I to say what's art? It's not. In criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. I'm going to say disagree, although, again, it depends on the particular case. It is a waste of time to try to rehabilitate some criminals. Yeah, some criminals. You can't rehabilitate them. Business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist. Again, I'm not going to make a value judgment here. It depends what you mean by important. But I'm going to say disagree. Mothers may have careers, but their first duty is to be homemakers. I'll say disagree. Multinational companies are unethically, here we go. Unethically exploiting the plant genetic resources of developing countries. I mean, I suppose it's happening in some places, but I see where this question is going, and maybe I'm looking into it too much, but I'm actually going to say disagree with this. Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. I'm going to say disagree. The establishment doesn't always know what's best. Astrology accurately explains many things. You cannot be moral without being religious. Charity is better used at Social Security. Agree? Some people are naturally unlucky, well, I guess. It is important that my child's school instills religious values. Disagree. Okay. Oh, sex. Sex outside marriage is usually immoral. I'm actually going to say agree. I don't mean to be... what the hell? I disagree. I mean, usually... Same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption. Yeah. Pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal for adult population. Why not? It goes on in a private bedroom between consenting adults and no business in the state. No one can feel, well, you got to be careful. No one can possibly feel naturally homosexual. No one, it's impossible to feel naturally. I don't think so. These days, openness about sex has gone too far. I don't think so. Okay, time for the drum roll. We're doing this live. Okay, so this is the political compass, like economic, left wing versus right wing. Libertarian, the vertical axis, libertarian, basically freedom first. Authoritarian is we're the government, do what we say. My guess would be that I'm going to be in this libertarian right. But let's just skip down. I disagree with some of these placements, but I'm going to go up to that now. Okay, this is about where I expected. I thought I'd be a little further down in terms of libertarian, but that's a slight surprise. The left-right doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah, I think this is good. Yeah. Anyway, well, that's about it. Yeah. So that was kind of fun, sort of.